that I needed to go to this Mayo visit. They said that it would be a 5-day visit. They would plan all the appointments. I would see everybody. I would have all the tests done. I would have answers at the end of it. It would be 5 days. So missing a week of work. Okay, let's do this. So that was scheduled for the first part of June. So this, in between all this, I had the epidural spinal injection that didn't work, and I had a follow-up appointment with the orthopedic pain management guy that happened to be after the Mayo Clinic visit. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go see what Mayo Clinic has to say, kind of a second opinion, because the pain management had said that I needed to have a second opinion on rheumatology, because during the time that COVID started increasing, I stopped the immune suppressant. Sorry, my sharing of the timeline is a little bit off, because there was so much going on that I could barely keep track of what I was doing in one day versus anything, and none of this is written down. And so I needed to go get a second opinion from a rheumatologist anyway, and that was one of the doctors that I was going to see. So I was like, okay, let's do this, and then when I get back, I'll see the pain management guy, share with him the results, kind of get some kind of plan of action. Well, 1 week at Mayo turned into 2. I seen neurology, I seen rheumatology, I seen orthopedic, I seen their sleep clinic, I went to their fibromyalgia clinic, I had test after test done. I had a mammogram, I had just basic workup done while I was there. It was like they did a cervical spine CT, they did a MRI on all 3 parts, the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spines, the whole thing. They actually went down to my hip to include my sacroiliac joints and all that stuff. So they ended up doing that too. I had x-rays to make sure that none of my bones were broken. I had, just so many tests. It was pretty exhausting. I had taken my laptop. I was kind of working part-time-ish while I was there, which, let's just be honest, that was not very productive. And then, so the 1 week extended to 2 weeks because they couldn't get all the appointments scheduled. So it just kept extended. That was a very expensive stay. I stayed in a hotel that whole time. It was very, very spendy. But it was what I needed. The people at Mayo Clinic are gems. They're actual gems. They are so kind and so caring and so compassionate and empathetic to your situations that they just listen. They are very good listeners. And so while I was there, they did several things. They gave me a shot into my bursa on my left side of my hip. And they did a shot in actually 2 shots in my back, on my PSIS. So while I was there, they did a shot into my bursa and my sacroiliac joint and my PSIS. Let's just say that those shots were not a walk in the park. The sacroiliac joint, they were guided through x-ray. They did help a little bit. Probably mostly from the numbing medication that they use. Let's just be honest. Not necessarily from the shot that they gave me for the actual steroids or whatever. And then sent me on my way. Said report back on how these do. While I was there, they did confirm my fibromyalgia diagnosis. They added chronic fatigue syndrome to the list. Those typically do go hand in hand because fibromyalgia, you just get so exhausted because of the pain. Your pain signals are just on high alert, which just exhausts the body. So it's not that rare for those to go hand in hand. My mammogram came back clear. Of course, they told me I needed to lose weight. They told me that they could not do any back surgery on me. Not that I necessarily wanted back surgery done, but that the problem that I had, they couldn't do anything with surgically. But just ruled out a lot of things rheumatology wise. They said, you do not need to be on this medication. Because I asked them about the immune suppressant. And they said, no, you don't need to be on that. And it's not a good time to be on that anyway. And I said, yeah, I know. That's why I stopped it. But I just wanted to ask to make sure that I shouldn't be taking it. So I found out a lot of good information. When I came back from Mayo, I had an appointment with my rheumatology doctor. And I went and I told them that I had a second opinion done at Mayo. And that they told me that I didn't need to be taking the immune suppressants, that there was no indication on any of my testing or any of the x-rays or anything like that that showed or indicated that I needed to be taking this strong medication at the age of 41. So I did not have a good reaction from that rheumatologist. And so I decided to go ahead and they're like, well, we can't do anything more with you. We'll send you to pain management. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. I don't need to see you anyway. So basically, I walked out of there and I said, at the end of it, I said, you're fired anyway. I wouldn't be coming back here anyway. I was contacted by this pain management clinic that they wanted to send me to. And they sent me this big long packet that said, oh, we're going to do all this drug testing on you and all these things because we want to make sure that you're not using narcotics and all this stuff alongside it. And I'm like, I don't know what kind of pain medication they're planning on giving me at this clinic, but if they have to require drug testing for it, I don't want any part of it. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not searching for drugs. I do not want to take drugs. If I could get off all of my medication, I would. So I decided not to go to that pain clinic either. I called back up to Mayo and I said, okay, well, this is the results of the shots that you gave me before. They're like, okay, I think we need to try another round of shots in a different location just to rule out that there's not something going on there. Okay, I'll come back up. So I went back up there. I had a shot done in my hip. That was ultrasound guided. Let me tell you, I will never do an ultrasound guided shot ever again. That was a very, very painful shot. And they nicked one of my nerves during the process. It eventually went away, but it was very painful. And then they did one of my bursa while I was there too. But I didn't really feel much relief. I mean, again, the lidocaine, like whatever they did for numbing, I had some relief. Anything else? No relief. So I might as well have just, I don't know. It didn't seem like a worthwhile shot to me. So then I ended up going to, when I got back, I ended up going back to the orthopedic pain management guy. And I said, look, here's the things that I've done. So far, no bueno, no good. I still have this problem. I still can't walk the way that I want to be able to walk. I'm exhausted from all the pain and I need some help. Can you help? And he's like, well, we have a procedure called a radio frequency ablation, and said, you know, you would be your situation is a candidate for it. We do a couple trial shots procedures beforehand, and then we do the actual procedure. Okay. Let me think about it. He did say that he could increase my medication. So he did. During the last time up to Mayo, we talked about switching to a different medication. And so after I had been to this guy to talk about the radio frequency ablation, he said, you know, I told Mayo, I said, I don't know. I said, should we actually try the other medication? I'm game for that. Let's do it and see if it works. Okay. So they prescribed me Lyrica. Okay. So they moved me on a ratio from gabapentin over to Lyrica, which basically made me lose my marbles. I would walk after I had gotten switched over to this, I'd walk into a room, had no idea why I was there. Absolutely none. Like I was just completely dazed. I would drive to places that I had been to thousands of times, and I would drive right by them. Couldn't remember where I was going. I was like, okay, you know, and this was affecting my work tremendously. I'm like, this medication is going to make me lose my job. This whole situation has already put strain on my job. I said, I cannot lose my job over this medication. So we backed it down. Thank goodness, because it was, we backed the medication down because it was not working the way that it was at. I was like, I can't keep this up, because, like, bad deal. Bad deal. And so, so once they tapered it down, everything else seemed to calm down a little bit. But I was still having problems in my left leg. Like, nobody has gotten to the root of this. By this point, it was September. And I was like, okay, we've got to get the handle on this. I cannot let this go a whole year. So I called the orthopedic guy again. It's like, okay, let's do the radio frequency ablation. It scares the shit out of me. Let's just be honest. But I need relief. Scheduled for me for the first procedure. I didn't even have to go in and see him before they did the scheduling. So the next week I went in, had the first procedure done, where they put in a bunch of needles in your back and they numb a bunch of stuff, and it's like, see if I get relief within, a certain amount of time. And I had relief for X amount of time. I think it was like, they wanted me to have relief for at least an hour. And I had relief for maybe, between 5 and 6 hours. I was like, this is good. Like, I've actually had relief from something. Like, this is a miracle. So then I went in for the next procedure. And they're like, we need, this was actually 2 days later.